This podcast is brought to you by Infinite Resources, a local staffing agency connecting diverse job candidates in central Iowa companies.
Amplified.
Hello, everyone out there in the media world. This is Dr. Negus Imhotep coming again with another episode of Babylon Makes the Rules. Before we get started, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Infinite Resources, and also Amplified DSM, right here in Des Moines, Iowa, where I call the belly of the beast. Today, I have an outstanding guest from the other side of the planet. He's in London. He's in England right now. In London, correct, sir? In London, England.
Milton Keynes, UK.
Milton in the UK. This is my brother.
Milton Keynes.
Milton King in the
Milton. I'm Milton Keynes. Yeah.
Milton. Okay. Yeah. Forgive me for desecrating.
That's okay.
In England, my good friend and brother, Oladele Dosunmu.
You got it right. Well done, bro.
Well. See, it was a native tongue that was in my intellect, but back in my mind, somewhere innate, I should be able to pronounce names from my brothers and sisters from West Africa. And I'm just introducing this and getting it started today because for a topic today, we're going to be talking about Ubuntu. And I want Oladele to introduce himself to you so he can tell you some things about himself as well as his organization. So I'm putting it in your hands, brother Oladele.
Okay, thank you, Negus, my brother, for inviting me to your broadcast today. For all the viewers, my name is Oladele Dosunmu. I'm Nigerian, obviously in the belly of the beast on the other side of the ocean, the UK, which place we don't want to be at, but that's where I'm at the moment. But yeah, I'm Nigerian. I'm the co-founder of the emerging Alkebulan. Emerging Alkebulan basically means emerging Africa. The emerging Alkebulan means mother of mankind. The emerging mother of mankind is basically the name of the organization because Africa needs to be back to where it needs to be in terms of where we were or where we need to be. So that's the name of the organization. I'm the co-founder of it. And what are we about with the Emerging Afrocentric? We're about bringing diasporans and Africans together. We've been away for too long. We've been split by so many things. And the only way the Africa could work is when our brothers on the Atlantic, on the other side of the Atlantic, and Africans get together. So that's the missing link. So our aim is basically to bring us to working together. And that's basically how I met Negus. And we started talking. So the focus basically to create economical paths, social paths, historical paths, educational paths, basically everything that is going to bring us back to where we need to be on the continent. Because the modern land needs to be built because it's been desecrated by you know who they are. So yeah. Our focus basically is to bring us back together and work together with our brothers and sisters all over the diaspora and on the continent to make Africa work. And that's basically, in a nutshell, about the Emerging Afrocentric.
That's wonderful to have an organization set to do such a thing as that. And I'm looking at the term that we're dealing with, Ubuntu. And for our guests, I want our guests to understand that Ubuntu is an ancient African word which means humanity to others. In other words, it's like I am what I am because of who we all are.
Yes.
We all are. We all are interconnected, even though we've been separated by land, through land and sea. Yet, and we've been separated because of the sense of the colonization of a group of people, because many Africans that are in the West are either speak English or Spanish or Portuguese, whichever colonial force that brought our ancestors to these particular shores in the Western Hemisphere are basically we're all Africans, but we speak a different language because of where we've been transported to. Our ancestors was transported to, and the concept is all what you would call, in essence, altruistic, because we're concerned about the continent of Africa. We're concerned about the issues that members of the Alkebulan. I'm going to try my best to quit using the term Africa, because Africa, as we know, is a Greek term, and it's a term that was given by the conquerors. It's not the term of what the indigenous people from the continent called the motherland. So I want to get into this because I know currently for the past 2 years, Oladele, I've been working over at Drake University, helping to coach some Washington Mandela Fellows. And I have met young men and women who run businesses over on the continent of Africa, and through the Obama administration, they came up with this Washington Mandela Fellows, and since then they run these programs where they bring young people in their 20s and 30s who are running businesses on the continent, and they come here, some of them for the very first time ever being here in the U.S. They're here and looking at what's going on here in the U.S., and they're looking for technology. They have the ideas that they have already. But I'm here to try to help coach some of these people. Can you, looking at some of the things and knowing how the Europeans underdeveloped Africa and why the infrastructure of the continent is what it is today, could you just elaborate and give some more insight, being a native from Nigeria?
Okay. As a Nigerian, I was in Nigeria I just came back for about 4 weeks ago now, because I go back a lot, because like I said to you, the plan is to basically be on there physically and not be on the belly of the beast no more. So the plan is to be there. And when you look at Africa today, Africa has been underdeveloped, like it says in Walter Rodney's book, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. They basically underdeveloped Africa in terms of their own perception of what they want to see. Because I would never say Africa was underdeveloped, because Africa was developed for what it was meant for.
Yes.
It's when they came and interrupted our history. That's when the underdevelopment came, because obviously they had different parameters or different ways of looking at development. Because their development was basically backwardness, basically destroying. And as Africans, we never destroyed it. We nurtured and we looked after. So Africa was developed. The underdevelopment came obviously when they came in, and obviously they started stealing and destroying our land. Obviously they brought all the they brought everything in there, basically to take away from us. Consequently, we have not been able to live up to their expectation of development. And the fact that we've bought into their ideologies, the economic system, the educational system, the religious system, Africa is struggling.
Absolutely.
Because we were who we were in terms of our development. We're doing fine. But having to match up to their expectations and standards is basically where Africa's become underdeveloped.
Absolutely. Because I know I've been talking to some of the fellows who are in agribusiness and looking at the abundance of crops that they can produce, and knowing that they have access to these products that the earth flourishes and gives us. They have an overabundance of crops during year time, but the life expectancy of that particular vegetation is limited because of a lack of refrigeration, and also lack of opportunities to get these food products to the market where we can feed not just the continent of Africa. We need to feed ourselves, but we fed the world. As a matter of fact, at one time.
Negus,
Yeah.
let me just interject there. In terms of, we have a solution straight away there and then. In the past, basically, we got moved away from the land.
Yes.
Okay? The European development is basically moving you away from the land, which is the base, your base. It moves you away from your land to the cities, concentration. I call that a concentration camp. The moment you go away from your base, which is the land, and you start moving to the concentration camp where they want you to be, you lose your base, you lose your independence. And that's basically what happened to us. We had land, we had everything we needed on the land. Mm-hmm. We were not ostentatious, we were not greed-driven. Basically, we nurtured the nature, we nurtured and looked after the land on the continent. The moment they came in, don't forget, they interrupted our way of doing things. They brought their own ways of doing things, which basically threw us. So, for me, in terms of the business, the land, we have the land. The solution there is not that complicated. A lot of Africans, instead of them focusing on trying to fit into the capitalist system, why don't people go back to land? We have land. Yeah. I've just gone back to Nigeria. My family has land. We've just reclaimed that land with my cousins. We're going to be working on it. I know so many Nigerians have land if they go back. But the challenge we face is we want to aspire to be like the white man in these concentration camps, which we call the city.
Yes.
That they move away from the land. And I always say to people, not many people can make it or survive in this concentration camp, in the capitalist system. It's impossible. Because it gives you a kind of lofty ambition that, or something to aspire to, that you want to be this, you want to be that on the concentration, but you're not going to aspire to it.
Yes.
But the solution to our problem in terms of food is just go back to land. The more of us who go back to looking after and feeding and going to agriculture, we wouldn't have a problem with the food issues. In terms of preservation, we had our ways to do this.
Yes.
But obviously the over commercialization, and in terms of basically they turn our crops to cash crops.
Yes.
So basically what Africans start doing is basically feeding the West, not feeding ourselves.
Mm. That's sad. Yeah, clear. That's loud and clear.
Yeah.
You feeding other people.
We had the cashew. Yeah, we had the cocoa. Became a cash crop. Palm oil became a cash crop. Cashew nuts became a cash crop. So basically, they started telling. My grandfathers had a cocoa farm, a huge cocoa farm. Basically, that's to feed the Western needs.
Yes.
To feed the capitalist system, but then they moved away from what they used to do originally, which basically made them self-sustainable. And that's a challenge we're facing in Africa today. Oh. So we're trying to fill the capitalist as an exploitative system that we're forgetting to look after ourselves. And the more the fact that we keep doing what they need and not doing what we need for ourselves, we're left wanting, and then we're struggling. And because they're trying to make this money,
mm-hmm.
the dollars or the pounds, it becomes a problem. Then we neglect our own responsibility to feed ourselves. And then in Nigeria at the moment, the northerners are basically the northerners are the ones who actually do most of the farming in the north. In where I come from, in the southwest, basically our people are the most educated,
urbanized,
most indoctrinated. Yeah, most indoctrinated, because they've got the Western idea of education in their heads. They want to just do all the city jobs and stuff like that. We moved away from the land. In the north, the houses and they basically do the farming. So we rely on a particular group of people to feed us. And as you know, what's going on in Nigeria today, they've got the Boko Haram, the insecurity issues.
Yes.
So when that starts, the reliance on them becomes a problem, and then that affects everybody else.
Well, I remember the late Malcolm X, El Haj Malik El Shabazz, made a comment. He said, land is the basis of independence. And if you don't have land, you don't have independence. So, like you said, that urban sprawl of people running to the urban areas thinking that things are convenient when they're really not. It's all, like you said, capitalism. It's all about exploitation and taking away from someone. And in essence, it's a need for what I would call a reprogramming of the mind, a reprogramming of the way that we once did things in comparison to what they're doing now. I have friends who live up in the Kano region of Nigeria who you said a lot of farmers up in that area, and the people are into agriculture because it's just the natural way of life, and mostly I'm inclined to believe they should live better by being able to do for yourself and do your own thing. I know I interrupted you, but that stuck out in me when you were talking about how that everyone who thinks that falls into the grip of the colonial mindset will run automatically to the urban areas and looking for that pie in the sky type of thing. I'm going to go there and I'm going to make it. As a matter of fact, just this week I was with the Mandela Fellows, and I had 6 young men from different regions of the continent of Alkebulan, and they got around me and they said, "Well, Dr. Negus," automatically they thought I was a professor at Drake because I'm a PhD, and they said, "Well, how does it feel to attain the American dream?" And I looked at all 6 of them, and I said, let me tell you brothers this. I don't know the names of my great-great-grandfathers, but I know my great-grandfather and my grandfather and my father. They were here for those generations that were before me, and I never heard them say anything that they achieved an American dream. I wanted to let them know that it's not what you're inclined to believe, because people say nice things, but it's a bunch of BS. I told them, as a matter of fact, it's been an American nightmare, not a dream.
Yeah, Negus, and the challenge there is, and this is we're talking about the miseducation of the Negroes, like Carter Jim Wilson would say, and this is the problem, because they educated us. Every African, like I say, as I go back up to Nigeria, my frustration is the fact that they aspire to actually have a British curriculum in African schools. We, as Africans, have not even bothered to actually disseminate and destroy the British colonial system, a curriculum system, educational system in Africa. We still carrying it on, which consequently means we have become basically become a steady stream of miseducated Africans coming to Europe and America to feed the places, the job gaps that they can't fill. Mm-hmm. People don't understand how deep the miseducation is to Africans, which basically means that you do not value yourself, you don't respect yourself, you see value of yourself in a white man's eyes, in the perception of the white man, how they see you, but you don't see yourself.
Yes.
And these are the things we're trying to get people to understand, that we need to start throwing away all these things that are not African. We need Afrocentricity, we need Pan-Africanism, Afrocentrism, things that value our own, concepts of Ubuntu. We need to bring them back.
I got a lesson in Ubuntu at age 8. At 8 years of age, I remember a family reunion. My mother and father drove my brothers and sisters from Texas, and we drove up to Iowa for a family reunion where my grandparents and great-grandparents were in the town here called Marshalltown. And I remember my grandmother, my great-grandmother, she asked me to go out into her pen and go get some chickens or some guineas. She had some chickens and guineas and ducks in her pen, and she told me to go grab one. And I said, "Yes, ma'am." I'm a little boy, I'm probably about 8 years old, and I ran out there, and I grabbed one and brought it to her. She said, "Well, wring his neck, baby." So I did. I wrung the neck of the bird. It was hopping around and all that. Later, when she went in the house and brought out a pot of hot water, and I sat there and plucked that chicken, and she later she washed it and she cooked it and she made something here, a dish called chicken and dumplings. and she made some chicken and dumplings, and it was delicious. I know after we got through eating, and later on that evening, she looked at me. She said, "Hey, baby." I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Did you learn anything from when you went out there in the pen?" I said, "What you mean, Amma?" She said, "You didn't learn nothing." I said, "No, ma'am, I didn't learn nothing." She said, "I want you to always remember this one thing." She said, "Mama chickens don't take care of baby ducks." So I learned right there. She said, in other words, you need to look at your own and take care of your own first. Don't go out trying to save the world when you can't save your own household.
Yep.
So I am what I am because we all are, because who we all are. And I know that connection still connects with me because she was, that same evening, she had some collard greens and some cornbread. And she broke the cornbread with her hand and grabbed the greens, and she told me to come here, and she told me to open my mouth, and she stuck her hand in my mouth, and I ate the food from her hand. And she said, "How was that?" I said, "It's delicious, ma'am." She said, "Well, that's the way my mama taught me how to eat, because she was from Africa, and that's all she knew. She didn't know where, but coming out of Alabama, which cotton plantation country, all she knew was some remnants of what was already taught to her from her mother and her other ancestors. But I know just not what they taught. Some things that are, a lot of stuff is innately already in us as African people. And we need to go back to looking at what's going on in our inner selves and reach our inner selves so we can reconnect with our African glory.
Yeah, what you just said there is just called the indigenous knowledge system. It's something that's already in us.
Yes.
And like you said, you can take us away, but those things are still ingrained in us. It's just like we just had to harness it and have the right conditions for the whole thing to manifest.
Yes. And
difficult sometimes when we take us away from our environment, but you can still see when we get together, you can still see the remnants, and you can see it. Like you say in America, it doesn't matter where you go. You see Africa, you take Africa out of Africans, but Africa is always in Africa wherever we are.
Yeah.
Because it's there. Yeah. It never goes away. But the importance there is like Ubuntu. And I can still relate, and I can still remember my grandfather before he passed away. We used to go to the farm. We used to call it the village then. And when they will go hunting, they'll bring back whatever they've killed. They will clean it, and in the village, everybody they cook and everybody eats.
Yes.
Nobody's left wanting. Everybody feeds, and that's basically their lives. And they nurtured what's around them. They were not looking for things that were not there.
Yes.
And this is basically, and as Africans, as diasporans, in as much as we're trying to participate in the system, like I said, I was saying to you, the system is basically taking us away from who we are, because we're aspiring to be like the colonizers who are destructive of everything.
Yes. Well, I can remember also, I don't mean to interrupt you, but what I can remember as well, just with that statement that your father and your parents went out into the woods or went out and hunt and brought back animals and had food, a bunch of meat for everybody. Same thing, I experienced that here as a young boy in Texas, because my father, he had cattle. And he would, a lot of people in the neighborhood, some of the people that didn't have that much or not enough, my dad would give them some of the meat that he had, because he had just killed an entire cow, Mm-hmm. And it wasn't like, we were concerned. We were more altruistic. We were concerned. We were a community. We were communal. And because we knew we couldn't go through segregation to go to other places, we were denied access to go. And then even like my dad said, with him, he remembered back in the 40s and 50s and early 60s. He said, man, when I finally got a chance to go in there and eat some of their food that those people was trying to deny me to have, when I tasted it, I found out it wasn't worth a damn. He said I should have ate something else somewhere. Let my mom and dad or somebody else cook something that was tasty and made you feel good in comparison to a bunch of junk. Yeah.
Never the same.
Yeah. I know it's the same way. Now, I was talking to some, I'm not just floating around, but I know looking at what I'm dealing with some of the Mandela fellows right here, right now, over at Drake. From the dietary point, Drake is feeding these young men and women Western food, which is not what they're accustomed to. You know, you're gonna feed somebody junk and pastries and all that kind of stuff. People, from what I understand, you didn't need all that. If you wanted something sweet, you would get some fruit. You would eat some melon. You would have some coconut. You have something to eat, papaya. Well, you know, but here it's backward. It's backwards from the way back in the motherland, because I know it'll be hard for them to digest, and I know it's not as tasty as what you would have if you was eating some egusi, some okra, and some fufu.
Negus, it's never the same. I've just come back, and I immersed myself with the food. I ate a lot of it, because I know when I come back to the UK, it's not the same. The moment I came back to the UK, seriously, the moment I came back to the UK, and my wife cooked for me, and I don't know if she's going to hear me, but food did not taste the same.
No.
It just didn't taste. And I've been eating my wife's cooking for years, but the moment I go and come back and I eat what my wife cooks for me in the UK, it never tastes the same. Because the taste and the whole thing is just different. It's authentic. Mm-hmm. Whereas in the West, all we're eating is junk. And that talks to our dietary issues, because we're eating things that are just not natural to our bodies. And obviously, consequently causing diseases, which is what the problem we have in Africa today, that we are importing and absorbing the Western junk so badly that it's affecting us. You know, when I remember the first day I went back, when I got back, you know, I told my brother, I want to go eat. And it's basically taking me to a KFC or a McDonald's. And I'm thinking, what do I want to do with that?
Yuck.
And this is the kind of miseducation, I'll say, of the mindset shift that we needed, because Africa seems to be embracing everything Western to think it's development, which it isn't. Because how many people can afford a McDonald's? How many can afford a KFC? Not many.
No.
So like we're saying, we need to go back. We need to go back to the land.
Man.
The key to our independence is the land.
Yeah. And what I was looking at through all this, the colonializers tried their best to destroy, not destroy, but what they did, they stole the narrative and brought forth alt history and erasure of the way things once were, and how people in Africa dealt with issues. How we live, because like you said, the people got so entangled into the ways of their oppressors, and through their own indigenous ideas and own indigenous way of doing things, and on the back burner when it should be first and foremost, because most of the, you know, I was looking at these people who are coming here from these Mandela fellows, and a lot of things that here in the U.S. are easy to accommodate, but it costs, and it's not good for you. You know, a lot of things are not good for you. Since we were talking about food, but even the issue of the consumerism of people here in this and around the world, because of the capitalism and the isolation of individualistic ideology helps to destroy It is just the opposite of what we once were and how we worked as a group. Because as I stated again, the communal way of life, the altruistic way of life was the way of our people. We even see one of these former Vice President Bill Clinton's wife. She was coming out talking about it takes a village. Where you get that comes from Africa. You know, everybody want to take our slogans and our things and run with it. like I invented something. I found something new. That's bullcorn, man. I see there's a need for a wake-up call because Ubuntu has been going on since the ancient days, and now I think there's a need for a clarion call, because a wake-up call for Africans at home and those abroad. Because I even remember as a undergrad when I was working at the Houston Public Library in Houston, Texas, I came across a book called David Walker's Appeal to the Colored Citizens of the World. He wrote that book in 1829, almost 200 years ago, and he was calling for the colored people. He called the colored people African people, black people of the world. Black citizens of the world, colored citizens of the world, come back. Look at who you are. It was a small group of people that only represent 9% of the global population that taking control of the planet.
Yeah, my brother, Negus, that's sorry to interject. And this is what we need to do as diasporans and continental Africans. We need to work together. You know, they have done so much in terms of the mindset manipulation that we don't see ourselves as the same.
Yes.
Basically, don't forget, they use the divide and conquer tactic.
Yes.
The span in the work, and basically they divide you along the education line, they divide you along religious line, economic line. So basically there's too much division.
Yes.
So the challenge we as Africans are capable of face is that if we're not fighting over religion, we're fighting over politics, we're fighting over this. So there's always one division line that basically holds us apart. We Africans need to understand that these divisions were deliberately created.
Yes.
To create such divisions that you're not going to be able to align on everything. There's always going to be something that's going to hold you back. And as we do what we do, I struggle in terms of reaching out to people and talking to people, because I can agree with people in so many things, but when it comes to the religious issue, it becomes a bigger problem.
Yes.
And if you're religiously indoctrinated, it's difficult because you still you still believe in some concept of what the white man taught you. So you can't completely take yourself away. And for Africans and diasporans, we need to get ourselves completely away from everything that they taught us. And that takes time. And that's why sometimes I can be very impatient. I'm trying to be patient because it's taken me about 6 to 7 years to get away from the indoctrination process. It's taken me a long 7 times. So basically, but what we try to do is make people just be a critical thinker. You have to re-educate yourself.
Absolutely.
Because the moment you accept and understand that everything a Caucasians or Western education has taught you is a lie, you got a good base to start with. But if you don't accept that and you're still holding on to a little bit of this and that from them, you're not going to be completely emancipated in your mind. Your mind is still going to be controlled. Until you decolonize your mind completely from everything, everything that they've taught you, is when you can actually start critically thinking and see things clearly. And this is a challenge that diasporans are facing. I say Africans, like you just said there, Africans the most. What they say to you, land of the dreams. In Africa, they taught them that America is the land of the dreams.
Yeah.
They would never tell them that Africa is the land of the dreams. So basically, Africa is negative.
Yes.
Africans, Nigerians right now, we have a concept or word they call Japa. Japa means they want to run away from their motherland. They come to the West. Everybody just wants to run away.
Mm.
That's the concept going on in Africa right now. Everybody wants to run away from Africa because Africa is not working for them. And the reason why Africa is not working for them is basically that, obviously, we talk about this, is the gatekeeper leaders who are doing everything to keep the Western policies going without even thinking about looking after their own people. So basically, and when you got the youth, the Gen Z, the youth, they're basically there doing nothing.
Yeah.
They can't aspire to do anything because it doesn't see solutions on their own continent. Otherwise, obviously they're going to look otherwise. They're going to look elsewhere. They think, okay, we see our diaspora brothers, African American brothers in America, they're making it over there. Let's go to there. And obviously, when they come to America, the thinking is because they've been so concentrated, the fact that they've been yearning to achieve, you can see them so focused over there that they lose themselves in the system as well.
Yes.
I'm sure you can relate to that.
Without a doubt, that's why I remember taking courses and through my own experience, I see that indirect rule is alive and well, even though a lot of nations back in the 1960s, in early 1960s, especially like Nigeria and other nations, obtained their flag independence around that time from colonial, quote, quote, colonial rule, which was the biggest damn lie in the world. All the people did was get a flag and put their own flag up instead of their colonializers' flag, the Union Jack or whatever flag from whatever country they came from. And now, even though that there might not be there physically, you got the mind, the behind will follow. That's what I'm saying. Basically, even though the biological father may be African, the psychological father is a European.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's the challenge we're facing, and that's the challenge. Obviously, that's why we're having this conversation. We need to reach out to our people.
Mm-hmm.
You need to deconstruct everything that you've been taught.
Yes.
As long as you keep holding on to those remnants of everything in the system, you're not free.
Yeah. And
they've done a great job with our minds, and they've got our minds.
Yeah.
And guys, we basically need to make our minds set ourselves free from that. Like Bob Marley would say, man,
emancipate your mind from mental slavery.
Yes.
None but ourselves can free our mind.
Free our mind. And a lot of Africans or diasporans, we don't know we are still enslaved. We think because we got all the trinkets, we got these houses, we got all these things that Western driven, and okay, we have achieved all these things in the plantation. Yeah, we've arrived. No, because all you become is a Negro. You can become a Negro peer.
Yes.
You're not yourself anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ubuntu is the way, my brother. We're talking about Ubuntu. Ubuntu is the way. Ubuntu is I am because you are because I am.
Yes.
I mean, like you said, communal, collective living, looking out for each other, working together. That way we can achieve a lot more. As you go individually and individualistic, a capitalist way of doing things, it pits you against each other.
Yes.
Some of you are going to have so much, but in the capitalist system, not everybody can achieve. The 5%, 10% is the ones that are going to be to the top. What about the 90%? In Africa, in those days, before I let you go, in Africa in those days, like I said, nobody left with nothing. They had everything they needed. We had everything we needed, and we were self-sufficient. We had everything we needed because our essence of being is not based on the trinkets or the ostentatious stuff that the West consumer things and habits that they're following. We didn't have none of that. Mm-hmm. It's when that came that messed us up, and we got attracted to that. But if we go back to our being before the interruption, we were self-sufficient. We had everything we needed, and we were developing nicely. Because don't forget, history. Alkebulan, mother of mankind, we were number one.
Yes,
we
indeed.
Existed before any other.
Yes.
Obviously, they came and plagiarized and copied everything. Like we just said, the Africans, we need to start believing in ourselves and see us. And basically, we need, podcasts like this where we tell our own stories, share history.
Yes.
Because we got a lot of work to do. And Negus, before I let you go, this is not for everybody. Because some of us just are too far gone. We're not going to get it.
Absolutely.
But there are people out there who are looking, and they get to that stage, they're thinking, this thing is not working. What can we do differently? And those are the ones we're appealing to, because we can do this within ourselves, amongst ourselves. That's why we need Negus. I need you back in Nigeria with me. But we're building, we're on the land. We're doing stuff together, my brother.
I can't wait to get there. I can't wait to get there with you, to meet and go there with you, my brother. There's no doubt about it. Sorry for my interruption, but like I said, it's a need for a lot of people are waking up, and the social media is throwing a lot of information out there, and some of it's good, some of it's not. But it's just like eating fish. You eat the fish, but you spit out the bones, and we don't. The bones are basically what I would call the Frankfurt School of Thought, the Western civilization. Because here in Iowa, we have a group of people here that are extremely conservative, who feel like their way is the only way, and anybody else who's not in the dominant culture, you don't mean dada, you're nothing. You're caca, what they say in Spanish, talking about doo-doo. That's where they feel you. And for us as a people, like I said, I woke up almost 15, 20 years ago. I know not to the point I knew and I studied, but it really just snapped in me almost 20 years ago when I said, why am I continuing to do this? Why am I still carrying the name of my European oppressor? Why am I doing these things? Why am I wearing a suit and tie, choking the hell out myself? Why I got my hair all shaved down and no mustache, clean face, trying to walk tight butt with a Brooks Brothers suit on and some Johnston and Murphy shoes, and carrying my briefcase, trying to be a white man, trying to be acceptable when I'm not, and I never will be. So I said, why in the hell am I continuing to fall in that? And then I realized that I've been brainwashed. Yeah. And the educational system here is not educating, it's basically training people for a job. They're not. If you were educated, you look at what's before you and you realize what you got to deal with, and then you will think critically about the issue that's affecting you and your community. So it's a need for us to do a massive overhaul as a people about doing the things the way we once did before the interruption. So, brother, I thank you.
Yeah, thank you, my brother. And you've just said that, you said it. Basically, there's an Alkebulan awakening happening.
Yes.
All over the world right now. It's happening. It's been going on for the last year or 2 years now, and it's happening. And it's encouraging as we're having this conversation. And because I go on TikTok live and I just go on there for the fun of it, just to gauge how people are thinking, just get people to talk.
Yeah.
And I'm encouraged that the youth are awake. They know what's going on. You can see what's going on in Kenya right now.
Yeah.
I've seen incidents about that in Ghana.
Yeah.
Even the Nigerian youth that I talk to, most Nigerian youth that I talk to, they know what's going on.
Yeah.
It's just that they're just scared because they've used fear to keep them down. People know what's going on. So the awakening is there. It's just that we need to now build communities communally and harness these people. We need to pull together. Because the more of us trying to pull together and trying to do things together, they can't pull us down because we need to build community. This is basically what we lost as Ubuntu. We lost our community.
Yes.
Ubuntu is about building our community. Wherever we are, we can build communities. We can basically look after each other, and that's the key for us getting back to where we need to be. Because Ubuntu is the key. It doesn't matter what philosophy or ideology you tell me, Ubuntu is the key. It's just about looking after each other. So whatever you do, think about your community. Think about the impact in your community. It's not about you, because capitalism is individualistic. It's about you. And in Nigeria, we call it, I better pass my neighbor. That means you're just better off than the next person. But in Ubuntu, it's about collectively.
That is on time, brother. Oladele, I truly appreciate you, man, for you spending this time with us here and on the other side of the lake, like some of those folks say. And there's no lake the other side of the ocean, and I know it's probably around maybe your dinner time or something like over there.
Yeah, it's about 6:20 now.
6:20. Okay, man. But I just thank you immensely for what you're doing, and my prayers from our ancestors by connecting with our ancestors is for the success of this movement and for the awakening of people of Alkebulan descent at home and abroad to come and hear the cry, because our ancestors are calling us back and are calling us home.
I agree, 100%.
Yes.
There's basically this is the awakening period. This is the renaissance period, and it's happening.
I'm just thankful that I'm at that time where I can see this. Yeah, man. Brother,
we can all say it, my brother. We can all say it, and it's bro. Like I said, once I'm fully on the ground, man, we're gonna link up, man. Yeah, so we're gonna be on the land. We're gonna be, we've got plans. And so, Negus, it's been a pleasure, my brother.
Hey, man, thank you very much, brother, for what you've done, and I'm gonna just say, I'm gonna give a shout out to all those out there who's listening. I hope those who had looked at this particular podcast would, if you have something to say, feel free to contact this organization, send an email, whatever. Give your opinion, give your view. We're here, and I'm thick-skinned. If you got some problems, so what? I don't care. But we're gonna make it happen. I just want to give a shout out to my brother and all of the people out there who are listening, and I hope this information was some information that is that was helpful for those who are seeking a different way. And I'm going to give you a sign off, and have a great evening, my brother.
Thank you very much, Negus.
All right, bro. Have a great evening.
Respect.
All the time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Thank you, sir.